Should we jump right into our headline topic here?
Yes.
Good. What is it? Oh, yes. The CEO of the Motion Picture Association told a convention of theater owners that the organization is planning to work with the United States Congress on legislation to require American ISPs to block piracy-related websites. With all the other stuff that they have to work on, like the cost of insulin, I'm sure this is a top priority. And oh, wait. Okay. This might have a chance. The proposed legislation would allow copyright holders to petition a judge to block a given site. CEO Charles Rivkin claimed that piracy steals hundreds of thousands of jobs from workers and tens of billions of dollars from their economy, including more than $1 billion in theatrical ticket sales in the United States. Both tech companies and internet advocacy groups have warned that this proposed framework is likely to lead to over-blocking of lawful content.
Yeah.
Which is what wound up undermining the Stop Online Piracy Act, SOPA, over a decade ago. So our discussion question here is this going to work?
I honestly don't necessarily feel like it would work even if it does go through. They have to petition individual sites. They'll just spin up another one.
Well, Luke, I mean, here's
the domain is unimportant.
Here's the question, though. What is this going to do that couldn't already be blocked with a VPN?
Couldn't already be worked around? Do you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what is this going? Because, okay, already, if you download a copyrighted work, okay, look, I'm gonna come out and say it. We were doing some video on emulating something, and it was more convenient for me to just download a Final Fantasy Tactics ISO than to rip it. So I did, and I didn't have my VPN on. Actually did this at work. And we got a notice. We got a notice from our internet service provider where the rights holder, was it Final Fantasy Tactics? I don't remember. It was something that was...
Why does he do this?
From my point of view, not morally an issue.
Why does he do these things?
Because they're convenient.
I will never know.
It's not a moral issue to me to download a copy.
Why do you do it on the work network?
Oh, I was so lazy. I didn't have my VPN installed.
But don't do that on the work network.
I know, but look, Luke, this was like years ago, okay? You weren't even working here.
All right, now I don't care.
Yeah, it wasn't recent. Okay. Anyway,
I thought this was like weeks ago. I was like, what are you talking about?
The point is, I don't personally consider it a problem to download a copy of a game that I own. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care. And from my point of view, you can tell me all day that I only own a license to use the game in its exact form and on the exact device that I actually don't care about any of that. So anyway, I own the game from my point of view, and I will download it if I feel like it. But I got a notice from my ISP that the DMCA rights holders, blah, 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 had notified them that they forwarded it. There's no actual punishment here. They can't actually do anything. They can't turn off your internet or anything like that. But they already know what is this exactly going to do? How are you going to enforce this unless you basically do, back to our sort of our title for this, unless you actually do create like an authoritarian internet censorship system.
Yeah.
Like just blocking a website. At least the
tools for it,
Yeah, well, here's a question for you. I mean, what are the odds that the American government basically already has it and is kind of ready to... Actually, I don't know if they're that organized. Never mind. I take it back.
I mean, they can seize sites and they could make this type of stuff happen, but but it's slow. Yes,
and it's not really very effective, and that's why,
especially on a larger scale.
That's why instead of going after them one by one and trying to go after the companies that are providing them hosting, or trying to go after their domain registrar, or that's why instead of trying to go after them in all these ways to get the site actually taken down, they're trying to simply block users' access to it. But my point with my story was that if you pirate content, you probably are already using a VPN anyway. What difference will this make unless they fundamentally change the way that internet access works in North America?
I mean, there's also stuff like, I don't know if you've gotten to this line yet. Maybe you have. CEO Charles Rivkin claimed that piracy steals 100,000 jobs, including 1 billion theatrical ticket sales. Like, no. And there's all these arguments. Like, I find it pretty interesting of companies on Steam. Steam has a very good and robust regional pricing tool, and companies are finding like they'll see a lot of piracy in a single area. Maybe wondering how they do that. You look at like language in the discussion of the thing, and then they'll adjust the pricing in that area to be more reasonable. Like maybe your take home is significantly lower, sure. Your cost of living is significantly higher. You don't have the spending money to buy something in the equivalency of American dollars of whatever it's supposed to be. They make it cheaper. Piracy drops off like a rock. People are saying, Luke Brazil. Yeah, there's a lot of examples. Pirate Software has a video on him reducing the cost of his game in Brazil specifically. Piracy shot down, and his sales in that country went way up because it's not that necessarily people want to pirate in order to effectively steal something from a company. It's often that thing is not super attainable. Either you can't get it very easily, yep, or it costs too much. And it's like, well, right now with 10 billion different streaming services, acquiring video content can be really annoying. And to be clear, I also don't buy the argument that there is zero impact. I'm sorry, but there are people for whom they just aren't paying because they just, if they don't have to, they'd rather not, but they could afford to. So as usual with any argument, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Is this stealing hundreds of thousands of jobs? Well, you know what? I don't know. Worldwide? Gee, man, that's a lot. Like how many bloody, how do you even quantify that? Also, where is your hand wringing when, you know, you've got AI encroaching on the industry from every side? Yes, let's please use that as much as possible. And like one of the issues that I have with this is I'm assuming that there's some equivalency of amount of times that something was pirated to the amount of money that you lost, but it just doesn't work that way. Like when I was a kid pirating games, I was not going to buy it. If you made piracy impossible, there just would have been no sale. I just would not have played that game. There was no give take. Everyone is like that though either. I know, but I pirated games I could have afforded to buy when I was young. Would you have bought them if you couldn't have pirated it? I think in a lot of cases, probably no. I'm trying to think. It's been a very long time, and I don't really remember. Here's something that I always found kind of interesting about my own habits, was that if I pirated a game, I tended not to really play it very much. And I don't know what it is. Like we've talked about this on the show before, how like when we were kids, pretty much everyone that I knew had somewhere between 2 and, oh man, I'm trying to think, like 5 or 6 games for their console. Total, yeah. Like we did not have, if I went to someone's house and they had like 10 or 20 Nintendo games. Like, whoa, you're a rich kid. I was like, whoa, like damn. There's some money here. Yeah. And we played those games over and over and over and over and over again. And for me, piracy was like this. It became like it was almost like my first exposure to kind of one of the problems with gaming now is that there's too many options, so many options, and such a finite amount of time that you can't possibly hope to enjoy them all. I don't think I can think of a game that I actually played for a substantial amount of time that I pirated and then never ultimately bought. Yeah. So those aren't lost sales either. Like obviously there are going to be lost sales from piracy, but saying that you can try to quantify it is like, what? I don't know. Where are you getting this $1 billion in theatrical ticket sales? Because I have a major doubt on that one. I mean, it's not that much in the grand scheme of things. I mean, when a single movie will do $1 billion in ticket sales from time to time, I mean, it's not like they're saying, oh yeah, we're selling half as many tickets as we would have if piracy wasn't a thing or whatever else. I think that actually, if they were saying 1 billion more tickets, obviously we'd have to say strong doubt. They're saying tens of billions of dollars from our economy, including more than 1 billion in ticket sales. The only reason why they said ticket sales is because it's the theater owners organization. But they're saying tens of billions of dollars from the economy. I just don't believe that. I have a really hard time, without any sources cited, believing tens of billions of dollars would show up in the American economy if they somehow deleted piracy. I don't see it happening.
I think the bigger issue for me is that we haven't really... Oh, man. Yeah, it's a tough one because, you know, at other points on this show, we've talked about how the media production industry is obviously in trouble right now.
Oh, it's in huge trouble.
But when you kind of dig down and try and figure out, okay, like, you know, what is the trouble? Where is it coming from? It seems to be from a lack of truly creative, innovative content, right?
It's like the marvelization of everything. When
you look at what happened, I mean, and it's funny because the examples I'm about to use of something that broke out of the doldrums that the movie industry is in are both huge IPs, right? Like the Super Mario movie and Barbie, right? But I think that showed that there's absolutely an appetite. The problem with this is that the problem with this whole argument, and man, I'm going to be in trouble for a hot take here. The problem with this argument that you've stolen hundreds of thousands of jobs from workers is that I don't think that right now there is a content volume problem when it comes to low quality garbage that people don't want to watch anyway. I think the content problem that we have is innovative, exciting content.
Yeah.
And no offense, but you are not hiring those hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
In your hypothetical scenario where there is no piracy and you have way more tickets.
Fighting really hard to not hire them.
How many actual directors have financially successful, you know, let's say more than 3 financially successful movies under their belt? And it's going to be, this is a number that's going to be in the dozens or hundreds, not the thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands. And obviously, there's more than a director that just works on a movie. But my point is just how small that tip of the iceberg of what we see at Hollywood is. The ones that break out, the ones that are super successful versus the ones that are just working on yet another reality TV show. Like, are you telling me that if you had more movie ticket sales, you would stop making, you know, just stupid random reality TV series, and you'd
just be incentivized more.
You'd take a home run swing at a movie? I don't know, man. I don't know if I buy it.
Yeah, the argument stinks, in my opinion. I'm not saying like rah piracy or anything. I just think a lot of the arguments around it are very sensationalized, I think. I'm sure there's a financial impact to the industry. I think, in my opinion, the movie industry in general has always had a like acquisition issue. Movies and TV shows, like, how do I get this thing? What temporary service do I have to subscribe to be able to watch it? I can't get a permanent copy at all anymore.
That's the biggest problem for me right now.
Yeah, like there's so many issues with that.
I could not really understand what the point of piracy was during the golden days of Netflix.
Yeah, totally agreed. I'm pretty sure we talked on WAN Show about, like, you know, putting the hat in the closet because, like, there's no reason right now. And now it's strongly coming back out. Obviously,
they don't have hard numbers on this, but I was reading a different article, not the one that was about this recently, that figured based on some number that someone pulled out of their butt somewhere, that piracy was up about 12% year over year. And this is in America.
Not surprised at all.
It doesn't surprise me one bit. I am simply not going to subscribe to Disney Plus and Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus and whatever the HBO one is called now.
I was sitting here trying to think of what its name was.
I don't care.
I don't know.
I don't care.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I haven't seen Game of Thrones.
Yeah, because you don't have the thing.
Well, that's also because I don't want to until he's done writing the books. But I just mean, I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've seen an HBO show since...
People are saying Crave Max? HBO Max?
Yeah,
sure.
Max. That's right. Crave in Canada.
Crave the one with Letterkenny?
Crave licenses HBO shows in Canada.
Yeah, Crave has Letterkenny, which is great. But then don't want anything else on Crave. So it's just like, I guess I'll subscribe and then try to binge watch it really hard and then leave. Like, I want to just buy it.
Syphilus says, lol, poor Linus, he's going to die before that book is done. Is that a threat? Are you threatening me? I'm kidding. I know, he means George R. R. Martin. What, am I not allowed to pretend to misunderstand things?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I can buy they're just DVDs?
What's a DVD?
Letterkenny.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I want Blu-rays.
Whatever, just use AI upscaling. Got him.
Is that good? I haven't done it.
It's getting pretty good. No, I wouldn't say that you can go to 480p or from 480p and it'll be a great experience. If you've got at least a 720p source, it's looking pretty good. On a 1080p source, 4K is like, why bother?
Yeah.
One thing that's not there yet is the SDR to HDR up conversion, but I like seeing where NVIDIA's at with that today, right? Seeing where they started with upscaling in games and where they are now.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're headed give them a few more years, and if they ever finally release a new Shield Pro, so some more hardware, give them a few more years and some more hardware, and I am pretty stoked on where I think we're going to be with just being able to enjoy whatever copy of a piece of media you happen to own at whatever resolution and color space you want. Obviously, it would be better to have a human do it properly, and the definitive piece or like the definitive version of that content is probably going to be that. But I think that AI upscaling and AI SDR to HDR conversion is going to be good enough for most people. With that said, a lot of the time, the newer grade is not necessarily better. People are apparently like super PO'd about Aliens' Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray release.
Oh,
yeah, something. It's more of like the film buff type stuff than what I think the average person would care about. But it's pretty common, not just to get like, you know, the Star Wars or ET effect where they, you know, digitally remove guns or, you know, who shot first or whatever else, right? It's not all that kind of thing. Sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, they didn't go back to the original film, like they didn't restore it, they just took some other master and just kind of, you know, I don't know, applied an upscaling filter and then sharpened it and then resoftened it to make it kind of look like it was higher res. So I don't know exactly what happened with Aliens. Let's see if anyone is. Yeah, it looks like this is something that hasn't really made its way outside of, you know, r/Blu-ray or whatever the Blu-ray enthusiast subreddit is. I don't even remember anymore. But some people are definitely mad about it. Oh yeah, okay. Someone said The Matrix had some mastering issues where they got rid of the green and blue tints, and that's the kind of thing that can happen accidentally if someone's working on, and I don't know if that's what happened in that case, but that's something that can happen accidentally if the people working on the remaster don't understand or remember the original intent for why it was graded in that particular way. And
I was spending some Googling trying to figure out how to get Shoresy and Letterkenny, which is the two shows from the same group that are highly related, same universe. And a lot of the responses are like, yeah, it's super annoying. You just have to like actively be subscribed to Crave, buy the junky DVDs, or insert what you can assume. Right. And it's like, yeah,
yep.
Like, why? Why can't I just get a high quality version that I can watch whenever I want? I don't want to binge. They have like 8 seasons of Letterkenny and like multiple seasons of shorts. No, I don't want to have a financial incentive to subscribe for 1 month and then just degen super hard and watch all of this in 1 month and then shut it off. Like, just let me own the copies in decent quality.
And I've been pretty firm that I'm not going to buy any copy of a movie or TV show that is reliant upon a service staying up. Totally. And we are already seeing that prediction of mine that anything that you buy from a web shop that is reliant upon accessing it through that web
or
shop,
authorizing or anything like that.
you do not own.
Yeah, they'll take it down, they'll edit it, they'll change it.
They'll get acquired. It doesn't matter. So this is one of those things where, guys, to be clear, I mean, I think that you've heard my stance on piracy enough times. Does it have harms? Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question of that. Is it as easy to quantify as executives will make it sound when they're doing a little presentation to their little industry buddies? No. Are we telling you never do it or you're a bad person for doing it? No, we're not doing that either. We're just telling you, consider the impact. That's all I say. And also, good luck, MPA. You are going to have to fundamentally shift the North American, the Western philosophy of the internet in order to make this work. And I really just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Might be time to dust the hats off. If you don't have one, you can get it into the store. Yeah, it's a funny joke. I'm trying to have plausible deniability that I'm not telling people to become pirates.
Really?
Yeah.
And your way of doing that was
telling them way to go. Way to go.
Where did you even go? What did you where
I just closed it.
Oh, you closed it.
Yeah.
So your way was to tell them to buy a hat.
Yeah. Because it was my plausible deniability that I wasn't saying pirate hat.
I see. Prove that's not a pirate hat. Modern pirates wear any hat they want. Also, I couldn't help noticing that it is water resistant, which is perfect when you are
on the high seas.
On the high seas.
Oh boy.
Should we rename it to Pirate Hat? Kind of tempted.
Just include like a trial for a VPN. Change nothing. Just
okay. Hear me out. Do we take a VPN sponsorship again? If we're just like, here's the talking points. It's for piracy. That's the world's most honest VPN pitch.
I feel like the biggest issue with them is the talking points. So like,
I mean, our talking points were always clean.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of the negativity around VPN sponsorships was from creators who, and to be clear, I don't actually blame them. You cannot expect every random makeup or gaming or nature or history creator to completely understand the ins and outs of a technology product like a VPN. Should creators have a responsibility for the products that they promote? Yeah, yes. But I also think that the issues around VPNs are a little bit more complicated and nuanced than you could reasonably expect, your aunt who makes YouTube videos to fully grasp. And so, we pushed back on the VPN providers that we worked with, especially as my knowledge grew about them. And we ensured that our talking points were aligned with what we believed was the usefulness of VPNs. But I think a lot of negativity around VPN sponsorship came from these people who were promoting them in ways that just were not true. Now, one of the challenges with that is that obviously they got those talking points from somewhere. So we would be working with a company, almost all of them do this. We would be working with a company that did actively promote their products in a deceptive way. So, on the other hand, it's clearly an important part of your online privacy toolkit, which is the way that we had been positioning it most recently when we were working with PIA. So,
in my opinion, as long as your talking points are fine and clear, I think it's okay. A lot of people, when they talk about this, including some of the people in the chat right now, have been spamming links to a video, whatever, I'll just name it. It's a video from Tom Scott called This Video is Sponsored by Blank VPN. Tom Scott's more recent videos are sponsored by a VPN company. And what he was saying in this video is that the marketing and the talking points are misleading and bad. And he was totally right. But he eventually takes the sponsorship from a VPN company and just doesn't have misleading and bad talking points. So it's fine.
And it's funny because
I agree with that.
There was a lot of brigading against us after he launched that video. And I was kind of sitting here going, what?
We agree.
Yeah. What do you want?
That was a very frustrating time. That was a super frustrating time. Because his video was great.
Yeah, it's a good point. Cool story, bro.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah. And to be clear, like this is mostly in the response to people trying to use it to say that there should never be any VPN sponsorships and no one should ever use VPN. It's like, well, hold on. You're swinging too far. The Tom Scott video didn't swing that far. You're swinging beyond where it was going. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I think I might just be open to working with them again. Like look, full transparency with you guys, which always gets me in trouble, which is great, but for better or for worse.
Exciting.
Those of you who are the real ones, who understand that we're being transparent with you, and when we are transparent, it doesn't mean that, we have that much more to hide because that's the stuff he tells us. We're actually just telling you, like, real talk, how we do things here. VPN sponsorships are, if not the most financially impactful, they are among the most financially impactful out of everyone that we have ever worked with. There's a lot of money in VPNs, to the point where we not only considered, but even went as far as prototyping our own VPN.
It worked. It was great.
Yeah.
It was up. Multiple people were using it. Like it's actually incredibly easy to do.
It's not still up, is it?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes. I had to think for a second, but yeah, okay. I remember it being shut down.
All right, just making sure.
But I mean, you could literally turn it back on in like 10 minutes.
Oh my god!
Not to the degree that we had it, because we actually had like distributed. So it was really cool. Jonathan and AJ were like really motivated because it seemed like a fun thing to do, and they just smashed it. It was actually like great. It makes me sad because it was very well like thought out, implemented, done, future planned, all that type of stuff. It was really, really well scoped in. Those guys did a great job with it. And we didn't want to go anywhere because we started talking to lawyers and they posed some questions to us about like, if you want your stance to be no disclosure, whatever, are you okay with these things happening on a service that you run? And we were like, no.
Basically, the question was, are you okay enabling pedos?
Yeah. And we were like, nah. I guess we won't make all of the money in the world.
It would have been all of the money in the world, though.
We ran the math. It would have been
The world would have run out of money before we would have.
Yeah.
Especially with our audience and with the numbers that we know from working with VPN providers in the past.
It was
that we know
huge.
We could have pushed.
It was huge. Even if we retained, if I remember correctly, if we were able to capture, I think it was like 25% of what we had literally already captured, we would have just been making monster money.
Yep.
And it's like,
So then, the question becomes, what's the difference? What is the difference between us making a VPN and making money and us taking the money from companies that are profiting off of sheltering ne'er-do-wells?
It is an interesting one, but I think that's a question that you could pose to like almost anything.
Yeah, but don't whataboutism it.
You just did. That's what this is.
No.
What this question is.
No, that's not whataboutism. I'm saying here's something really bad.
Yeah.
And you're saying, well, what about other things that are bad? And I'm saying, no, answer the question.
Okay. I think it's still okay personally. Because you're not telling people, hey, are you this thing that's really bad? Use this one. It's good. You're talking about actually in this situation specifically promoting it for piracy, which is which is questionable in its own right, and something we would not be able to do if it was our own service. Just to be super clear.
But what we could do is say VPNs are for piracy now, and then make our own VPN later, but never mention it again.
Yeah, yeah, it's
so
weird.
What is the difference between profiting from it directly? And to be clear, I actually like have an answer in mind. I'm not just trying to give you a hard time.
I think it's doing the action of knowing that you're covering the trace for a certain type of people.
So I thought that's kind of what I was expecting him to say. And I guess the difference is that as the owner, right? Because there's no such thing as a completely untraceable connection. It is traced to somewhere, and then it is encrypted, right? So when you're using a VPN, it's a relay, right? So if there's some server hosting awful, unspeakable,
it's not liability
content. No, this is not a question of liability. There's VPNs that operate out of Canada. Clearly, it can be managed.
Yeah.
So if there's a server that has some unspeakable image or video or whatever it is on it, right? And there's a user who's accessing it. What the VPN does is it encrypts this leg, right? So any traffic monitoring that is happening still shows that unspeakable content arriving at your node. So they will come and they will ask you, where did it go? And Luc Lafreniere, CTO or whatever C-suite like
would have to dive
ego
in front of
title we give him, would have to say, I will not answer that question. I know who they are.
Well, no.
Or
no logs.
Okay. But I could find out. I could do it.
And I will choose not to.
I could do something about it.
I will dive in front of this person.
I will decide to not do this, to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
To stand idly by.
Yeah. And I'm just like literally not willing to do that.
Yeah.
So if I'm not willing to do that and we advertise this service
that people do use for that,
saying, hey, there's no logs, then we'd have to go against what we were saying because I'm not going to say no to that. So we're going to have logs. And then it's like, wait, we said we weren't going to have logs. So we can't really run this thing.
Yeah. But if someone else runs it, we're okay with it.
People are going to use it no matter what. If they want to use it and support us, neat. And the vast majority of our audience is going to use it for fine
probably downloading movies.
We could promote kitchen knives. People could use them for making food. People could also use them for bad things. In the kitchen knife scenario, there's no logging to figure out who used your thing for bad stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not a perfect analogy.
No, it's really not.
But like, I don't know. You can promote that people use something for good stuff.
Is piracy that?
Maybe some forms
of it. This is going to be the spiciest WAN show ever.
Yeah, I don't know why we're doing this necessarily, but
it's a good conversation. This is a good conversation. I think so. I'm interested. Let us know. Is this a good conversation? Are you guys interested? No one's like, move on. Like, they tell us when they hate what we're talking about.
There's people talking about drastically unrelated things.
Yeah, but it's always like that. Yeah, people are like, this is great. This is how we do here. This is how we make decisions. The conversations we have on WAN Show are really not that different from the conversations that we have off of WAN Show.
They're quite related, yeah.
Except that y'all are watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, voyeuristic weirdos. Especially the ones that are here live. Do we acknowledge them?
The VPN as well.
How do I do that? How do I show them? WinCam. Look at that. We got some winners in the house.
Look at the prime seat up front. Wow. That's a glorious position.
A while back, we ran a contest, draw, sweepstakes. I don't know what to call it, but basically...
It's very comfy.
People who bought the 3D down jacket, one in however many people who purchased it, were eligible for an all Actually, I don't know if all expenses were paid, but definitely the travel, definitely the plane and hotel were paid to come to the headquarters, get a tour, and hang out. They're actually, like, I could almost spit on them, but I wouldn't because they're above me, and it would actually come back because gravity and hit me myself. So I could spit on myself and almost reach them. They're like right above us right now.
Nice.
Hope you guys are enjoying the WAN show. Dan, are we doing live Q&A with these guys? Live merch messages? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I believe they're going to come down here and we can hang out for a bit.
Why don't we do another topic real quick, and then we'll bring on one of them for our merch message break after topic 2.
I think part of it too is for the service to exist like at all, it basically has to harbor bad stuff. So there isn't really getting around how it has to work, and I'm just not willing to run it. But I've used them relatively extensively. I suggest that other people use them relatively extensively. So if I'm going to do so, can I not also recommend one to use? I think that's fine. But I'm not willing to run it myself.
So there you go. You know what? Colton, if you're watching this, get PIA on the phone.
Doors open.
Yeah. Let's...
It's fine to me. Like, even when we stopped the sponsorship, I was kind of like...
I kept using it.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Like,
I haven't canceled my PIA subscription.
Like 80% of other creators that have like Nord sponsorships or whatever they are, people aren't just going to find it there.
And you know what's funny is that...
What's the difference?
As far as I can tell, and you know, this is the more just like cynical business side of me. As far as I can tell, stopping our VPN sponsorships has earned us exactly this much goodwill anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't see, during any controversy, during any kind of kerfuffle, I haven't seen a single person that's gone, man, remember when
like
VPN sponsorships were not cool and Linus Media Group didn't take them for literally years?
Yeah. And there's lots of other sponsors who've done the same thing for it.
So I'm kind of sitting here going, like, you know, whatever
I'm not saying that, to be very clear, just because someone's going to quote that and then try to throw me under 18 different buses. I'm not saying that we shouldn't keep doing that. But especially if like, we genuinely don't, like, we use VPNs, it's fine. This one seems fine, cool. And then we control the talking points. At this point, I think we're only doing it because people, like, asked us not to, which is like, whatever, man. I don't know. If we're going to stop a sponsorship with someone because their customer support is super bad, and we've had a lot of, our own user base report that as an issue, and we've tried to follow up on it, and we haven't seen any good improvements. Obviously, every company's going to have some customer support issues here or there, but like it's at unreasonable levels, or we find that their product is not satisfactory enough for whatever reason, whatever else. Like there's reasons why we cancel sponsorships. There's reasons why we don't do certain things. That's cool. We should keep doing that. But like, if this was a goodwill move, yeah, I don't think it mattered anyways.
No, I don't think it made any difference whatsoever. Yeah. I don't think we're going back to Tunnel Bear, though.
Yeah, see, but there was a reason.
Suggesting, yeah.
Like, so, like, but PI is still around. They seem fine. I haven't heard anything bad. I don't know. Maybe
they were acquired by Cape.
Okay.
And Cape has had a complicated history.
Okay.
I think is probably the most generous
possible. I haven't listened to this stuff in years. I don't know.
Me neither.
Yeah. So maybe we should dip our toes back in.
I have no idea what Cape is up to these days. I have no idea what Nord's been up to lately. A lot of people in chat are saying I use PIA. I use PIA lots. Blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, but we promoted PIA for years as well. So probably a lot of them.
That might be why they just still have the subscription.
Yeah. So, man, now I wish we had the. Top Gear 1224 is like canceling Asus was wild after they paid for LTX. So that's a perfect example of how I
haven't seen anyone credit that.
We don't earn goodwill when we do things the community calls for. We just get people mad at us when we don't do whatever they demand. And B, how the community does not understand how things work behind the scenes here. And whenever they draw conclusions based on their understanding, almost invariably, the conclusion is wrong because their understanding is wrong. Asus didn't pay for LTX. The attendees paid for LTX. Like the amount of speculation that ASUS had us under their thumb because of the sponsor.
Well, okay.
Like they're a major sponsor.
I might be able to add some context there.
Yeah, sure.
The amount you guys charged is not in line with other conventions that I've seen for booths, for sponsors, like title sponsors, for anything like that. The amount of income coming from those things was like orders of magnitude lower than the numbers that I know from certain people that run other certain conventions. Like way lower. Even considering like differences in attendance rates and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like and there's reasons for that, because Linus was super, and I'm not against this. I'm pointing at you because it was your idea, but I liked it. But Linus was super militant about, like, if you have a booth, there has to be something cool there that people can do and all this kind of stuff. So the convention was really fun, because you walk into all these conventions that are just like it's basically just a bunch of stores or a bunch of like info booths that aren't very interesting. So we want it to be more interactive and cool, but doing that meant that a lot of these big players that go and spend big money at these shows were not really interested, because they have a booth that they bring to shows all year. It does one thing, and they don't want to make it do a special thing just for this one show. Yeah. So we didn't capture a lot of that. But I think that's probably where some assumption comes from, is often those title sponsors are like big money. Really big money.
Well, that's fair enough. Top Gear says, whoa, I didn't say that. I was just saying canceling a headline sponsor type profile. No, I'm not meaning to call you out or anything. I'm just saying that people generally do not understand the dynamics at play here. And it wasn't you, but it was a lot of people when ASUS was under fire for their handling of particularly some warranty issues. There were a lot of people saying, well, LTT is not going to say anything because there is no tech brand that we're not willing to speak out against. And there's a reason that major tech brands either don't work with us for years at a time. We didn't work with NVIDIA for over 2 years on a sponsored basis. They begrudgingly, especially at first, later on things were a lot smoother, but at first they begrudgingly ceded us cards for reviews just so that we could do our basic coverage of them. That was it. There are major tech brands that simply do not talk to us at all. We're not in this industry to make friends. Apple has my digits. I know they do, because I've exchanged emails with a rep one time when they needed something from me. Every other time that I've reached out to them, they have explicitly ignored it. So consider who you're going after. If it's the corruption you're trying to root out, if it's the people who play the game. We've shown time and time and time again. We're willing to stand behind what we say. We're willing to stand behind what we believe. Where was the thing?
Two quick things on the convention topic. If you want to look into booth prices, something that's very interesting is Battlestate Games, the people that run Tarkov, are incorporated in the UK or something instead of Russia. And that means all of their corporate documents and finances and stuff are public. You can look up how much they spend on booths. It will blow your freaking mind.
Really?
I'm talking like $500,000 a show sometimes.
Wow.
Like,
okay, yeah, we were not getting that kind of money.
No. They're also going on stuff like Gamescom.
Sure.
But like,
yeah, that's wild, dude.
Huge money in booths. Also, I'm going to Open Sauce. Come say hi. It's going to be really fun. I'm doing a panel, and I'll be hanging out during the show. I realize I haven't told anyone.
All right. One more about to get us canceled topic.
Nice, let's go. You organize your Welches? Is that the topic?
No. That's not going to get me canceled. They all have OCD anyway. I've made a grid out of my gummy candies here. You can't really see it because it's behind my
They're perfectly deck, they're all in the same direction.
Linus has
they're
ADHD.
Sorted by color, and they're in a grid.
This is a good thing.
All right. A small distraction over on Floatplane asks, is there ever an ethical gambling sponsorship? Adults can choose their vices? Like basically, the question is, if it's legal, why are we taking some kind of moral high ground here? It's something people enjoy. It's something that has made its way into mainstream acceptance, especially over the last 5 to 10 years. What's our problem? Why don't we just get the bag? I'm expanding on the question a little bit, obviously here, but
thinking my immediate jump to would go extreme levels of mental manipulation in order to ruin your life. And I think that's like genuinely the main goal of the entire thing. I don't think there's a positive to it, literally at all, ever. The only person I have ever seen that has had a healthy relationship with it was John Martin, actually. And the way that he would do it was,
writer.
Yeah, he would leave anything.
He doesn't mean was John Martin. John Martin still exists and still works here.
He
still cool.
I meant because this
Saw him at Christmas. He looks great.
Old. Yeah, he actually does.
Yeah,
he's doing good. But
anyway,
he would leave any way of increasing the amount of funds on hand at home, go with a fixed amount of money, and he enjoyed the process. So to him, he was like, "I'll bring as much as I would take to go see a movie. I'll get free food because they give you free food when you're there. I'll play some games until I'm out of money, or when I get a reasonable amount and feel like I'm happy, and then I'll go home." And then that is like, I am accepting an entertainment expense for the night, and there is no way for me to extend it. I respected that. That seemed fine. The positive is the winnings. You don't get it, man.
No, that's not.
You don't win.
The house always wins.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Sorry, dude. And like, I appreciate you're a Flow Plane subscriber, all that kind of stuff, but like, that's not, you lose. That's how that works.
And you is not necessarily you personally.
Yeah.
You
is the
personally
people.
might have
win that one time and be up.
Unprecedented streak of luck, but you collectively definitely mathematically lose.
Yeah.
And like, man,
and the problem with saying the upsides is the winnings, is you just wholeheartly accepting the upside is the mental manipulation that is going to eventually rip all my money away.
And like the one I've talked about this,
you're taking the dopamine loop that they want you to take, which is bad.
I've talked about this on the WAN show before, but like a big moment for me was just walking around in Las Vegas for the first time. Man, the bathrooms are so clean. Like, you could eat off them. They're huge. The ceilings are 30 feet high and painted like the sky. Like, it's like every inch of it, every brick that was laid with money taken from people who traveled there.
Everything they possibly can to communicate to you that you will lose, and horrifically.
And this is how much you're going to give us. Not you personally, necessarily, but you
walking into the mouth of a demon. Like,
you collectively are here to enrich us this much. And even if you win, guess what? We're going to fill this place with fine food and products that are also going to give you a dopamine hit, and activities, which, to be clear, I have no problem with activities. The point is, we're going to fill this place with all this stuff so that even when you win, you're going to spend it. Easy come, easy go. You're going to spend it. Oh, guess what? On establishments within our buildings that we own that funnel that money back to us in the form of rent. The whole thing is designed where even if you walk out of Las Vegas up $200 after you spent, $100 of it on, let's say, a necklace or something, they are still going to keep some of your money there. So why don't we take gambling sponsorships? Because neither Luke nor I believe it has.
I used to work at
any reason to promote it.
Yeah,
we don't.
I used to work at the bread factory, and there was. I'm not saying dudes there because there was only men there. I'm saying dudes there because I actually don't think any of the women had negative gambling problems. Only the guys did. So L men. But there was many times and many different people that people would come into work and you'd hear them like begging for extra hours, and you try to figure out what's going on. And it turns out that they yet again gambled their rent away and are worried about becoming homeless. They could have easily afforded their rent. They were doing fine. We made pretty good money at that point in time. I knew these people. I knew they were doing okay. They were living within means. Everything was okay, but they gambled it away. They lost it. And then they'll, almost, lost everything.
One more double or nothing.
That was rough. And then a few months later, the same thing happens. Because you're being mentally manipulated. You're being controlled. Like, just don't allow this to happen and don't feed into it. And yeah, I don't know. It's so bad.
I'd probably promote alcohol and cigarettes before I'd promote gambling. Speaking of vices, right? Like you were saying, let people pick their vices. They're adults, and that's fair enough. And you know what? Like to Luke's point, some people can have a healthy relationship. I
actually fully respect John's approach. 100%.
I had not met someone with a healthy relationship, and your brain's just about gonna fall out of your head. I had not met someone with a healthy relationship with smoking.
What?
Until I met one of my badminton friends. She will light up one cigarette, like once a quarter. Just be like, I like this. I like to enjoy it once in a while. And then we'll just not smoke for a month, 2 months, 3 months.
I mean, I still think it's bad, but...
It's not good for you, but it's not going to kill them. 4 cigarettes a year is not going to kill someone, Luke.
Inhaling smoke is just bad.
Sure, but you'd probably be worse off sitting around the campfire all summer.
That's very true. That's why I hesitated a little bit. I was like, there's a lot worse things that we
Let's be real here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as like chain smoking.
So
I don't know.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can have but to be clear,
there's really weird arguments you can make about the upsides of nicotine, and things get really odd when you start going down that path. But then there's much healthier ways to ingest nicotine if you're going for the positive effects that it does have, even though it does have really addictive properties. All this other kinds like it gets really messy, but yeah.
So it's one of those things. To be clear, oh man, some people seem confused. We are not going to be promoting smoking or alcohol.
No.
That's not the point. The point is just that it kind of doesn't matter, because these are things that, in general, are designed to entrap. They're
designed to be addictive. They're designed to, not necessarily they're designed to, but they hurt you.
Yeah. And you know what? I think we make a bit of an exception for like mobile games, for example. Our line is that it has to be fun without paying.
That's a pretty good line, in my opinion. Because there are mobile games that are fun. There are mobile games that are free that are fun. I like Pokemon Go. I don't engage with it in a way that I feel like it is being predatory to me. I think it's fine.
I saw one comment a little while back, and unfortunately I lost it, but it was a good one. Someone was basically like, yeah, gambling is fine if it's you and your buds playing poker and you know that if you lost, your buddy won. 100%.
That's a totally different thing.
I've got no problem with that.
100%.
If there was gamblewithyourfriends.com and their model was that they took, like, let's say 1% off the top or something like that, because realistically a lot of the odds are kind of like that anyway, but the house was never just like blackjack, right? Like the house was never just like taking all of someone's money. I honestly think I could maybe accept that.
What would it even it would just support poker, is that correct?
Sure. Or just anything where you are betting with. Well, no, we can't enforce that it's with people's friends. We can't enforce that relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just becomes a poker website.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hypothetically, right? In a perfect, imaginary utopia, if there was gamblewithyourfriends.com and it was the online equivalent of just you're all busy and don't have time to gather around that stereotypical round table just off to the side in the kitchen.
And I know that some people don't like playing things like poker when there is no stakes. In this case, the easiest one is probably financial, but some people will do other things, and that's fine. But they don't like playing it when there is none, because people just like go all in every hand and like not really take it very seriously. So you kind of want something on the line so people play it more seriously. That's all fine. You do that with your buddies in the comfort of your own home, whatever. Personally, I don't care at all. Go have fun. It's the more corporatized gambling that's the problem. I'm even like, I generally don't take bets of like almost any kind.
Lunch.
I'll do lunch?
Yeah.
But then that's like, the result of this bet is we go hang out.
Yes.
Which is like, yeah,
everybody wins.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm totally cool with those. But like, hey, I'll bet you $50 that this team is going to beat this other team in insert sports game. Like, I have no interest in that at all. I don't know. $20 buy-in, no rebuy. Yeah, see, like that seems decently healthy to me as long as everyone can afford it. You might not have a friend that can, so that gets a little weird.
Uncle Charlie MT, volunteer fire department. People hung around and played poker. If you lost $20, you went home. Nobody wanted mad wives. Nice.
See, that seems pretty good. That's probably okay.
Yeah, but there's no way to enforce that with an online service.
Totally, yeah.
I just don't see. I don't see how we could get involved in that.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much money there is in it, though. Like, absolutely wild.